So let's start here.
So, like I was saying at the start, there are two ways we can approach story crafting. One is the local aspect of the game, which focuses mostly on character plots, faction plots, what is happening in certain regions, etc. Like I gave the example 1.0 when we helped Jinzo specifically, 2.0 when we were focusing on Rinasita specifically.
Yeah, like let's just say
and we had.
Okay, go on.
Let me just finish this so people won't get confused, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the general plot, which focuses mostly on broader world building.
Yeah.
And general game direction or general plot direction.
Yeah.
And what most theory crafters are doing is comparing only the focusing on the local plots, like explaining what is happening in the story right now, with some slight foreshadowing, or people that use myths to compare current events, what can happen, what was happening in some kind of myths, and then
well, not really myths. I guess
future events, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But the thing with Wuwa is heavily drawing from real life science, like we both know.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen many people, if at all, focusing on this aspect of the game. It's not like typical sci-fi, which is meshed there because now with the Lahai-Roi release,
Lahai-Roi is like
and
sort of like Interstellar.
Mentioned. I mean, Interstellar,
like
kind
sorta. I'm not saying it's one-on-one or anything. It's just kind of like Interstellar.
I would say there's a lot of inspiration in general, but like I said, when you were typing etc. A few times already, I'm a huge nerd when it comes to astrophysics and
I already know that.
Physics, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I haven't seen many people mentioning this aspect of the game, that it's really heavily tied to those things as well, as specifically.
Lahai-Roi specifically is very much leaning to real life astrophysics or astronomy in general.
Yes.
So should we just talk from the beginning, like right the starting of Lahai-Roi? Because if we already know that if 1.0 was like mixed, sort of general world building because we were just starting the game, and then mostly regional events with the retroact rain and the overthrax problem, the dreamless situation, the whole thing, which was regional. In 2.0, it was almost entirely regional. Almost, I say, because what did we have? We had the Dark Tide.
As well.
We had the Dark Tide, which was there only in Rinascita and only in Septimont. Only in Raguna. Sorry, not Rinascita. Only in Raguna and only in Septimont. Apparently, Lilyland did not have Dark Tide for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, the effects, in my opinion, depend on the Trinodian themselves, the local Trinodian themselves.
Yeah.
Like we could compare the Dark Tide in Rinascita to the effects of retroactive rain in Jinzo.
Yeah.
Because it was also making Tacet Discords appear, right? It was swallowing others, but the method used was different. Because the retroactive rain appeared, people got mad, people got lost in their memories.
Yeah, retroact rain
People
had one
were
more
mostly
cause.
fighting there and losing
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah. Retroact rain had one more effect. It also turned people to stone. That was one more effect.
Well, technically, Dark Tide was also turning things to stone, right?
Yeah.
But not
In
people.
Town, in Augusta's hometown.
Exactly. That's why I'm mentioning this.
Yeah.
Because what all lament effects or the lament events have in common is they are swallowing frequencies
Yeah,
of
like even in
people.
Honami, if you see the iridescent glow, because that lament is called iridescent glow, that thing turns
Exactly.
stuff into ice or crystals. It's like sort of same.
Exactly. So main point of this podcast is, like you mentioned, focusing more on the global aspect with the Lahai-Roi lore dump.
Yeah.
And we could make a few key points why this lore is so important, why it foreshadows future events,
Mm.
and how the events in Lahai-Roi can steer us even to the rover's past,
Yeah.
because that's also very important.
Yeah, that's very important.
Like I mentioned, like I mentioned to you yesterday, when I was explaining this stuff to Dwargon, I started with something like this. Basically, we will go back in time to the point of appearance of Aleph 1,
Yeah.
or rather his emergence,
Yeah, like
at the
even before. Yeah.
ceiling of Strider Gate.
Yeah.
Yes. And why is that important? First thing that we have to talk about here is, of course, Amy herself,
Yeah.
because that's the most mild entry point, how people can understand how Aleph 1 works and how his void space work if they are not interested in astrophysics, specifically black holes,
Yeah.
theory, lore, and all these
You should
scientific
bring up
effects, right?
your paint, your MX paint.
Yes, I will do that, but in time, because that MS Paint will also require me to give examples
Yeah,
from
of course, of
other
course.
sci-fi media, like Stargate, for example, to explain what I mean. And basically, Amy is stuck in a time loop, right?
Yeah.
When it's called, if I remember correctly, predetermined paradox, when her whole life ends up in a loop
Yeah.
without a clear definition of what's her starting point.
Yeah, that's the thing. She
It,
doesn't really seems like she does not really have a starting point of the loop, which is weird.
exactly. The starting point could be the emergence of Aleph 1 because that's what saved our world, basically. I mean, the Solaris 3 world in general. And because of that event, the world can live on. Lahai-Roi can exist.
You just said that emergence of Aleph 1 saved the Lahai-Roi, basically.
I mean, the events, because
Oh, yeah, the
the
events, yeah.
Aikido in 3.1,
Yeah,
when Aleph 1 was fighting with the Exhaust Rider,
yeah,
I mean, not in, near, you could say, the Strider Gate. Because one thing we have to mention here,
yeah.
we don't know if the Strider Gate is simply working like a physical thing,
Yeah, it
like a
could be
real
like a
gate.
wormhole, to be exact.
Exactly. It can work. It can also work like, for example, warp drive from Star Trek, that you enter hyperspace in one
Yeah, yeah.
point and end up in another, right?
Yep. Yep. Wormhole, basically.
Yes. Strider Gate itself can be considered also like a network of connections between world
Yeah,
or
it could
as
be.
the hyperspace itself.
Could be.
But that's that will come to play later. And why I mentioned that this can be considered as a starting point, because if that event didn't happen, Solaris 3 basically wouldn't exist, right? Because if the Exostrider lost, Aleph 1 emerges from the Strider Gate of the Solaris 3 and he it's the whole
Yeah,
planet,
so
basically.
basically the thing which saved Lahai-Roi was the concealment of Aleph 1 by the Exostrider.
Yeah, the ceiling of Aleph 1.
Yeah.
Which I don't think it was specifically Aleph 1, it was the ceiling of the entrance
Of the
of
Strider Gate.
Strider Gate.
Yeah.
So, there are a few, then, continuing from this point, the history continues a few thousand years later. We don't have a specific date,
We
how
don't even
long it
have a
was.
timeline. It could be a million years. We don't know.
Yes, exactly. Then Amy's parents get together. She gets born. Her mother is Roya. Her father is Roya, not Royan, but
A researcher.
Star Trek researcher.
Yeah.
Then they get swallowed up in the void storm. She gets angry. She goes to the Frostlands and
Well,
ends
not
up
really angry.
in
Wait.
the
So what
lake.
happened? So what happened with her is that uh, when she started to forget her parents, she went extremely anxious and extremely sad. That's when she took the talisman that she had from
Yeah,
her parents and tried to go into the Frostlands. And then she ended up in the lake near Rover's cabin.
I'm kind of purposely dumbing down her story
Yeah.
because her story as a character is not as important to the general lore
Yeah,
as the
that's true.
events she was partaking in.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So basically, yeah, she was sad. She went to the Frostlands. She got lost. She ended up in the lake, which was connected somehow
To the void
to the
space.
void space.
Yep.
Then she got rescued by Rover, and Rover raised her. Then Rover disappeared. She was doing her thing in the Star Trek Academy. Then she ended up resonating with the Exostrider, which I'll explain in a bit what I think it actually is. She was resonating with the Exostrider. She lost her body. That enabled her to go into void space,
Yeah,
which
without
is
getting
very
harmed.
important. The important thing here is when she lost her body, she ceased to be a material being, which means she was operating on somehow another plane of existence
Yeah,
than the void space affects.
yeah.
That the void space affects basically, because this is important. Why this is important, and I will do a pause here in her story,
Okay.
is because in general, in real life science, there is a consensus that everything that enters a black hole cannot leave,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It can only go
And
inside.
if we go a little bit deeper, why this is, it's about the conservation of information. The information can enter the black hole, the event horizon, but cannot leave it.
Yeah, yeah,
So the information once enters black hole cannot leave, it stays there.
yeah,
That's why it's important to mention that Amy wasn't a material being and wasn't on the same plane as other material things, because she can bring herself in and back from the void space,
yeah,
which is basically the inside of the black hole. So she's not considered as information in that matter.
Yeah, that is true.
Because if she was considered a material information,
She would be
I mean
stuck there.
information like, yeah. What I consider the information is like everything you can describe has something tangible in physics, how you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
break it down, what it's made of, etc. Ami doesn't have that. She
yeah.
exists on
So
another
Amy
plane.
is some.
I mean, he could probably see her because he is mentioned by Amy as a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
multi-dimensional being,
yeah,
but probably his void space doesn't affect. That's one point, which is also very important for the future events, and we'll mention this as well. But continuing, she can enter the void space, exit the void space, which gives her the idea,
yeah,
firstly, that not the idea. She gives her the perspective that everything in the void space exists at the same time.
yeah. Everything.
So you can see multiple instances of the same thing,
I
but
mean,
in
let us
different
consider
points
one
in
thing.
time.
Uh, let us consider one thing. When we first went inside the void space from Honami City, what did we first see? Ourselves. Which uh Amy said to have found another frequency that was rovers, and we ourselves saw another rover. So basically, that was from some
Yes,
different time.
and that will come into play later as well because many people have missed that. Even
Yeah,
I missed that when I was making my theory about the Exostrider's pilot. And I will go back to this specific event when we were going into Lahai-Roi. So basically, when she went into the void space, she learned that LF1 is a multidimensional being, that time and space can exist in multiple instances, in different
things can, yeah,
times, in different space, the same time can exist, etc. It's very jumbled up there, right?
yeah, yeah,
And that is touching the general, I should say theory crafting because that's only a theory of how the inside of the black hole
yeah.
works.
Yeah. Black hole
Specifically,
is
the
only
spinning black
theory.
holes can have spinning singularity, which enables you to basically travel back in time.
Yeah,
And that's also important. So she gets the idea of how the void space works, and she realizes that her resonation, and probably sees it because she found the message from her future self
yeah,
in there, that she basically has to go back in time and stop Aleph-1 from emerging from the Strider Gate.
yeah.
So it's not like she figured it out by herself. She found, specifically said that she found a message from her future self.
Yep.
So then we have the events of 3.1, how our timeline progresses, right?
Yeah,
Outside of the void space,
yeah,
etc. She spends some time with Rover, there's some lore explanations, and she ends up, when she's stronger enough, regaining her frequency, regaining her body basically, she ends up traveling back in time, resonating with the Exostrider,
yeah.
and starting the chain events all over
The
again.
loop once
If you
again.
remove her, yes. And basically, if you remove her from this timeline, this time loop, in any point, if you remove her from the loop breaks, the events change, and basically we will create an alternate timeline where all this loop never happened.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is
This
that
is important. This is important to mention because even if there is time travel, involved in Wuwa's storytelling, world building, etc., and lore building, the preservation of cause and effect still has to happen.
Yeah, it has to happen. Yeah.
And why I'm mentioning this is because people do want to rescue Amy, right? Everyone wants to rescue.
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't think there's a single person who doesn't.
There is
And
one person I
I
saw on
mentioned
Twitter.
this. Well, fuck him. Why I'm mentioning this specifically is because it will be very important for us as rover to find the exact point in Amy's loop where it will be safe to extract her from the loop without
Okay.
breaking the loop.
Without breaking the loop. So as far as I can
Yes.
see, as far as I can see, the only thing where we can safely extract her is that if we go into the exact time she goes back to LF1 and resonates with the Exostrider instead of her, we do it for her. Only then if we can extract her, most probably.
No.
Unless,
You're
unless,
close. My theory is the exact point where she gets swallowed by Aleph-1 into the void space.
okay, so,
Because that's the... Listen, when she resonated with the Exostrider, right?
yeah,
She got swallowed by the Aleph-1. The Exostrider sealed the entrance to the Strider Gate.
yeah,
And that's the point where Amy's loop ends. The only thing left for her to do at this point is to leave a message for her future self or the past self
to
to
find
read that
inside
she has to
the,
go back in time.
yeah, yeah, okay.
So, you know what? I will do something. I never know where this. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So can you see the paint?
Yeah, I can see.
So this point in here is the Aleph-1 versus Exostrider, right?
Yeah,
This point here is Amy being born. This is the res. Yeah, rescue of Amy. Yeah, I was derping my English there. And raising her, basically. This point is Amy being Exostrider.
or we can say Amy
Resonator.
dying as the synchronist.
Yeah. And this is Amy going back in time. To simplify this, because
Yeah,
we don't have to make specific events. Those are the key points basically.
yeah,
So basically, when Amy goes back here into the point 1 of Aleph-1 versus Exostrider, right?
yeah,
Then at some point when she gets swallowed by the void space,
yeah,
she leaves a message. She leaves a message so that she can read the message somewhere between those 2 points, right?
yeah, yeah,
And the only time where her loop ends is after this event when she leaves the message. So basically, I should maybe wait, Control Z, add another circle here to specify this key point. Leaves the message, and this affects this, right?
yeah.
Leaving the message.
Yeah, so
Leaving
even though
the
it's a loop, it's
message.
not a perfect loop because there is one discrepancy
Exactly.
that's, yeah, this is
Exactly.
one discrepancy that's this message.
And this is not mentioned in the game. This is basically her time loop.
Yeah.
Because if she didn't stop Aleph-1 here, she wouldn't being born, rescued, wouldn't become the Exostrider Resonator, wouldn't go back in time, etc. And this loops perfectly, right?
Yeah.
But there's no mention of Amy,
Writing the
what's
message.
happening to her.
Yeah.
Yes, after leaving that message.
Yeah.
And that's the point after this here when we can rescue her safely. Because the loop is not affected, but the loop is not affected by the events, what happens to Amy after this.
Yeah. So after she writes the message, we can rescue her.
Exactly, because this point is outside of the loop.
Okay, yeah, you were right.
Because she's only to set to disappear in the void space. But since she's already a ghost here, because when she resonates with Exostrider here at
Yeah,
this
basically
point,
she after she gets
she
swallowed
doesn't have a
up.
material body.
Yeah, yeah. So basically after she is swallowed by the void space during the fight, she gets thrown out of Solaris 3 basically because she's outside of the Strider Gate.
Yes.
And we don't know what happens
She's
there.
inside. Yeah, she's inside Aleph-1 basically.
Yeah,
She also could just meet herself in the void space,
yeah.
and the message could be delivered like verbally between those 2 points.
Hmm.
She met Amy from here. And why this is important is because Amy, this is the loop what people don't mention in their lore videos and lore theories. This loop is not Amy's loop. This is Solaris 3 loop.
You are
Because
right. Hmm.
this loop affects Solaris 3 events, not Amy
Okay,
events
yeah,
specifically.
yeah, this is true because if this never happened, the magnetic poles would not shift at all.
Exactly.
Magnetic poles shift after etheric sea came in, and it also did because of the Exostrider and LF1 fight.
So basically, Amy personal loop starts at this point.
Yeah,
Let's just put 1 here.
yeah,
Then it goes 2.
yeah.
Then it goes 3. Then it goes 4. Then it goes 5. And then her personal timeline goes into leaving the message
Oh,
or
okay,
giving the message to her
okay.
previous
So,
self, and
all right.
and then the last point of Amy's person. Oh, Jesus Christ, not this one. The Go back. The last point of Amy's personal timeline is this point, which is 7.
Which is unknown, to be exact.
Yes, 7. Unknown what Amy is doing. Okay, that whatever.
Just increase
People have
the.
seen it.
Yeah, yeah. People have already seen probably. Should be fine.
Whatever. Let's not complicate things any further. So this point, this 7 point,
Yeah.
is when we can rescue her. Because as long as Aleph-1 exists, she exists within the void space,
Yes.
and in the void space, everything exists at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter at which point of this we enter void space, it doesn't matter at which point we enter the void space, we will be able to find Amy in her in her final personal timeline.
Yeah, because everything is just there at the same time.
Yes, because this point, the 7th point, doesn't affect the loop at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not like she was responsible for birthing herself. She doesn't even have a body at this point
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And she wasn't responsible for other events in the loop, in the Solaris 3 looped timeline.
Yeah.
Because this is important that this is Solaris 3 loop. Now, the thing here is, let me just go back to my notes with. Yes, the next key point that we will have to discuss is rover going back in time. So basically, we have to go back in time to this specific point because this enables us to track Amy what's happened to her and get to point 7.
Yeah, true.
But there's not digressing, but there's one information that's missing from the story. Who was the Exhaust Rider pilot? What was rover's initial mission?
Okay, so we only know a few things. So if we go to the, if we 100% the area of the Exostrider remains, we know there was one
Yep,
traveler. We know there was one
yep.
traveler. I would put up a picture
And
of the thing on the screen right now.
yes,
Just saying, I'll do
yes,
it later.
that's very good.
Yeah. Uh,
And that information mentions that this traveler met the Roya 6.
yeah. Okay, so basically, I'm just skimming through you on what was written there. So the that specific traveler went to the Heliodic Six of the Roya tribe to talk with them. Then he was confirmed to have very close links with Balder. Balder is basically our Exostrider right here.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. You can consider this his name basically,
yeah, that's his
the
name.
name of the.
Yeah, yeah, Balder. So Balder was born to transport X Sentinel because the Sentinel's name is blocked out. Um,
Yes,
it was supposed to take that Sentinel to Y place, which is also blocked out. Uh,
yes,
what we are confirmed, what we know so far is that there is a so Balder met with Z. So that Z is basically Elf 1, and they had a fight.
yes,
Then it did not reach its destination. We are not sure what happened with the Sentinel. We are not sure who the pilot of Balder was, but
yes,
we we are pretty much sure from the file that it could have been the Traveler, because right after this whole talk ended, the Traveler vanished without a trace, and the Heliodic Six found something that they sealed the whole file altogether. They kept it sealed, and it's sealed till now.
yes. So, why this is important to
One more thing.
general lore of Solaris?
Yeah, Sinave, one more thing. And
Yes,
what we also know is, like this Traveler's file was sealed, Luke and Lucilla and the other higher ups of Space Trek Collective has also mentioned that Rover's past is also tightly sealed, which leads me to believe
yes,
that the Traveler is Rover, the past Rover.
yes. Also, there are few points that has to be mentioned about the Exostrider itself. The synchronists aren't technically resonators of the, you could call them the resonators of the Exostrider, but to make it more simple, the whole Rebel College focuses on finding a person who is compatible with the
Yeah,
Exostrider
they are not.
to be
Yeah, yeah,
its pilot.
yeah, exactly. That's what they're doing.
Because people compare Exostrider to Sentinel, which is wrong.
Yeah, because
What
just
is
now we
also a
found
key
out that the Exostriders were basically delivery men.
Yeah, it's basically a glorified FedEx, right?
Yeah.
FedEx truck.
Yep.
You could say that with some combat features like
Yeah.
cannons, guns. So it's basically post-apocalyptic FedEx from the Mad Max. You could say it like that.
Oh yeah.
But to further unpack this thing, we have to take into consideration that the pilots of Exostriders, because there was more than one,
Yeah.
were people from way more advanced civilizations.
Yeah, that was the rover
If we
civilization.
would compare this, if we would compare this to real life and compare the current evolution of people around Solaris 3, we could compare them to real chimpanzees, for example, in terms of evolution.
Okay.
And the civilization that was making exostriders and was piloting the exostriders are the humans. So basically, Rebel College needs to find evolved individual who is able to be as close as possible in abilities
Hmm.
and their resonance, the frequency strength
Hmm.
to that civilization who made Exostrider, right?
Yeah.
Why this is important is because all of those points point out to Rover being the original Exostrider pilot.
Yeah.
One thing, Rover was responsible for raising Amy and educating her
Yeah.
in her early stage of life. We don't have the specifics how he was doing that,
We have a few
he or
specifics.
she.
So in the quest, when we first fought with Sigillum inside the Exostrider, when Amy did not have her
Hmm.
mech form, she was unleashing the same moves that Rover does in all his forms. So basically,
Yes.
yeah, so the whole combat
So
training
basically,
came from Rover. Yeah,
Rover taught her, Rover taught Amy his fighting styles,
yeah,
which can imply that Rover was training Amy in the arts of this, let's just call it, how should we call this civilization of his
Hess
for
civilization
future
maybe.
reference?
We can just call it Hess civilization. I'm pretty sure it's Hess civilization.
Yeah, whatever, S, X, A, whatever. Let's call it S, for example.
Okay, sure.
So Robert was training Amy in his way of fighting, and probably not only that, because of this training that she was able to basically use Rover's moves, she was able to develop skills and frequency skills necessary to pilot the Exostrider
I would
later
say one thing
or
though.
to
This
resonate with
was
it.
probably not intentional by Rover. If it was the case, this was not intentional.
I think it was.
You think it was intentional?
Yes.
Think
I
so.
think it was intentional
Hmm.
because Rover is also stuck in a loop. And I will go back to it in a bit. Because I want to bring out two very important things supporting the theory that Rover is the original Exostrider pilot. Because one thing, Sigillum was basically wearing Exostrider suit.
Yeah, it was the Exo Strider but minimized in size. It literally looks
Exactly.
the same.
And from the workings of how the fight went with Sigillum, we can tell that even though the Exostrider itself is a glorified FedEx truck, it still has some combat abilities, right?
Yeah, it
And
has a lot.
Sigillum was basically able to destroy a whole planet using the Exostrider suit.
Yeah,
So my point is that the capabilities of Exostrider itself are still limited, but the combat abilities of the Exostrider still depend on how skilled and how strong
the
the
pilot is. Yeah,
resonator
the pilot is,
the
basically.
pilot is.
Yep.
Yes.
A machine
And
can
why
do
I'm
only so
mentioning this,
much.
yes. Why I'm mentioning this specifically is because another thing that's not said or touched by many Lord CCs is how exactly was Amy able to resonate with the quote unquote Exostrider in the first place. She wasn't in the Exostrider, she wasn't piloting the Exostrider, someone else was piloting the Exostrider during that fight.
Wait,
My
which?
point here
Just a second,
is
just a second. Which fight? Like,
with the Aleph one.
in the first, okay. From
So
what
when
the
Abby
game
go,
says is that she literally just touched the sword of the
yes,
Exostrider, and that surged power inside the drive core of the Exostrider.
yes, but
The
also in the
biggest
same.
problem here in like what the lore
Mhm.
CCs forget to mention is that the Exostrider is not autonomous.
Yes, that's the whole point why I'm mentioning this.
It doesn't work on its
Also,
own.
yes, and also the thing is when she was basically outside of the Exostrider, when she was resonating with it during that fight,
Yeah.
there was this anime cutscene, right?
Yeah,
Presenting this.
yeah, yeah.
She was
The
plunging the sword, and Exostrider was basically doing the same thing, right?
yes.
So my point is, she wasn't resonating with the Exostrider itself. She was resonating with the pilot of the Exostrider.
If can it be like okay, listen, this might be a very far-fetched idea from me. Just saying.
Yeah.
You ever seen Pacific Rim?
Oh no.
Ah, shit. Okay, so basically in Pacific Rim, one mech is controlled by two pilots, and they are in a mind link, so their minds are linked. They both do the same moves at the same time, and the mech moves. Could
Well,
it?
it's basically could be,
Yeah, but in
of course.
in Pacific Rim, you both have to be inside the mech and then connected together, like connecting your brains together. In this case, could it be that she just resonated with the pilot from outside? I'm just saying. I'm not sure if
I mean,
this.
listen, she was overclocking
Yeah,
because she
yeah,
was
that's what she
overclocked,
said herself. She was
and
overclocked.
to support this mind linking theory, you could look at Jinshi's second awakening.
Hmm.
Jinshi and Jue are still separate beings, but are linked by the
Yeah,
second awakening,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's not second awakening still is not a total merger of two beings.
No, no, it's definitely not.
It's
J-
just a link enabling them to achieve higher
Yeah,
level of frequency,
Like Jinshi
so
can
higher level of
technically
power.
summon Jue during her scalar
Exactly.
ultimate, but she is not like merged with her.
Exactly. So that only further proves my point that she wasn't resonating with the machine itself, she was resonating with the pilot.
Yeah,
She
and
gave
then
basically the pilot a boost,
hmm,
which which transferred as energy to Exostrider, which enables the pilot to fight and seal the Strider game.
okay, then I'm also I could also say that what if she was resonating with the Sentinel inside Balder?
Yeah, but the thing is, the Sentinel is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's the problem. Where is the Sentinel?
Where is the Sentinel?
Yeah,
That's also one missing key point here. Also, the thing is, Sentinel wasn't piloting the Exostrider.
the problem is we do not know how the Sentinels travel. Like, are they just parcels of boxes, or they like control the Exostrider? We don't know.
Well, to be perfectly honest, the information the Sentinels can be stored.
Like imagine Jue is being brought like a log, a big log. I mean,
Not exactly, I think, but that's a topic for another
yeah, I know.
matter, I
I'm
think,
just saying here.
because we will get too sidetracked. Because
Yep.
none of the Sentinels have like real tangible bodies
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing.
that
Yeah.
interact or people can see. So
Oh, well,
Sentinels,
people can
in my
see, but they
opinion,
cannot
work.
really interact.
Yes, so they work kind of similar to how Amy is.
Yeah.
So they can work in higher dimensions.
You
They're
could add
higher
one more
dimensional
thing.
beings.
You could add one more thing that confirms Rover was the pilot.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, what Amy found was Rover's frequency inside the void space, and that frequency led
Yes.
her to a exostrider.
Yes. That's also a fact.
Why would that
That's a very
frequency
good
lead
point.
her to an exostrider if they were not connected? So that rover was
Yes.
connected with the exostrider.
Yes, that's also a very good point. So that's a third point supporting this theory. Now, why this is important to the general lore of Wuwa and the world we're building is because if that's the case, that rover is the original Exostrider pilot, and Amy was being able to resonate with that pilot, that means she was resonating with rover,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And now we go back to the point of rescuing Amy.
yeah,
Because how we can say for sure that we'll be rescuing Amy is because of the 2.8 ending messages
yeah,
that we heard through
yeah,
the radio.
yeah. We have
One
found
thing
one of
is,
them. We have found one of the lines
yes,
already.
yes. And the line is, "Are you proud of me?
No,
Did I visit you?" What was the
I
line?
hope to make you proud. I hope I haven't let you down.
Yes, that's the one point.
Yeah,
And that's also another kind of works. Sorry, because like we said, this is the information that rover only can hear. But like we established earlier, information can travel into the void space,
yeah,
but cannot travel outside of the void space. And that information was clearly traveling outside of the void space, right?
yeah. But we have to know that Honami City is not a physical place in the first place. That Honami City was a
Yeah.
sonorosphere,
Yes, yes, that as well.
and
But the
it
point
already
here,
had a
the
rift. It already had a rift open, so there was an
yes,
opening for it to escape, technically.
yes. So we can make a safe assumption that the rift in Honami City, the Honami City itself, is already inside the void space.
Yeah,
That's why the time there was working differently, why Chisa barely aged
yeah,
when she was spending 20 years there,
yeah,
because like we like we said earlier, the time is warped inside the void space.
yes.
So basically from all of this, Honami City is already in Aleph 1.
Well, that sonorosphere might be inside LF1, to be exact. That specific sonorosphere.
I mean, the sonoros in general are just a projection of the past or lost frequencies into the
Yeah, no,
material world.
I'm saying this because the original Honami city is just a big tacit field now. Like it's still there.
Yes,
It's just a big tacit field.
yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly my point. And since we established how Amy's personal timeline evolves or progresses, we also know we different. We can also add to this personal timeline of Amy as a theory that the fact she didn't know she rescued Rover at the
yeah,
beginning of 3.0. During the time we spent with her, she haven't done that yet.
yeah,
Now, why this is important is because of this one message that you quoted. She says that message at the beginning of 3.0. And that event, when we step into the portal and end up in the void space,
Yeah.
is basically after her whole loop, right? When she goes
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
I mean, during the end of her loop, when she goes to fight, when she goes back in time, right?
Yeah.
And why this is important is because of the second message.
The universe has rejected us.
Yes, this line haven't been heard yet in the
Yeah.
story,
Yeah.
which
That's what
heavily
I
implies,
originally said in a lot of posts that I made, that
yeah,
she has to tell it in the future, or like in the future quest somewhere.
in her personal timeline, she
Yeah.
has yet to say this, which implies heavily that we will meet her again.
Yeah. It does.
So for now, Amy is basically stuck in, you could say, limbo because she both technically doesn't exist because of her going back in time, getting swallowed into the void space, but at the same time she still exists because Aleph One void space exists.
And then we
So
also
as long
have the
as Aleph,
exoswarm version of Amy sitting in
yes,
Lahai-Roi.
yes, this. I mean, this was explained that body of Amy in Lahai-Roi after the events of 3.1 is just made from the lingering frequencies
It's more
from
like
the
a
pendant.
exoswarm. It's
Yeah.
just a small fragment of her frequency, and it's connected to her
Yes, but exactly. And why it's connected to her?
because of the
Because
talisman.
there was, yeah, no, 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 no. Listen, there's a clear
Yeah.
cutscene with this.
Hmm.
When Amy is seen like sitting
Yeah.
in the dark, right?
Yeah.
And she makes the moves
Yeah.
that the body in Lahai-Roi also
Yeah. Yeah. Because
does.
that's because of the connection. That connection exists because the talisman from her past is there with Rover in the future now. Like
Exactly. And that
she lost
connects
that
her to the void
talisman.
space.
Okay, so listen. She lost that talisman when she was small, but we, like the future rover, took it, and now we have the talisman from her past. So you can see that the talisman should not exist right now. It should be in the past, but we
Yes.
brought it to the future.
I would say that the talisman itself is connected to the void space somehow because of the lingering frequency of Amy, who
Yeah,
is
well,
stuck in the void space and
the
exists. Amy for now basically exists outside of normal time, of
yeah,
normal
she
timeline.
is not even in Soul 3 to begin with. She is outside Soul 3.
Yes.
Uh,
So
yeah,
why this is all important? Because this connection can lead us to the same when I was making the her timeline graph. This connection with the talisman to the void space to the Amy can lead us to the seventh point of her personal timeline, when she already helped the Exostrider and is now stuck inside the void space.
yeah. From your timeline, I can, like your loop, I can guess two things very clearly, which we have already discussed. That first, 1 to 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that whole loop
Mm-hmm.
is Soul 3 loop. That is not the
Mm-hmm.
end point of Amy's loop. Amy's loop goes from
Yes,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is the message. There's 7, which we do not know. But we are also not sure if
exactly.
it ever returns to 1.
Yes. It probably doesn't because then she would have to be responsible for her own birth, which would
Yes.
be
Yeah. So
too
what
weird.
we can guess is that after 7, which is unknown, we will probably rescue her
Mm-hmm.
and she is out of the timeline after 7.
Exactly. But here is my point.
Yeah.
To get to point 7, we still have to travel back in time
Yeah, Rover
to
has to
point
go back.
5.
Yeah.
Yes. We have to go back to point 5 to follow her into following her
Into 6 and
to
7.
following her into the yes.
Oh
To following
God,
her falling
that
into the
meme.
Aleph 1.
Oof.
Yes. But now the question is, what happens with Rover when he goes back in time? And I mentioned this before.
Yeah.
There are, I mean, this is mostly sci-fi theories. When a person goes back in time to the exact point and space, you're not meeting like your physical self.
You're gaining the knowledge, I'm pretty
Your
sure.
your consciousness
Yeah.
is getting overwritten on your past body.
Yeah, yeah. So you're gaining the
And
knowledge.
here is, listen, yes, here is one thing that supports this. And this is the event at the beginning of 3.0 when Rover ends up in the void space facing the Trenodian. He has no fucking idea what's going on. Some chick ends up rescuing him,
Mm.
and we exit the void space, right?
Yeah, that
But
was
in the
Amy at.
events,
Yeah.
yes, but the events of 3.1, we end up in the same spot in the void space after entering it, and we override the past rover who entered the void space in 3.0. Like,
Mm,
let me save this graph. So basically, what I wanted to say is that we enter here
yeah.
from 2.0. Let me just add it clearly.
2.8.
From 2.8,
Yep.
yes. We enter this point here from 2.8, right? We progress the story with Rover
Yeah.
to 3.0. We then go here in the timeline. Then this rover from 3.1 enters back into this cutscene. And then this rover, the same rover, continues here.
Okay. If Amy goes back, that means this whole thing is also going to happen again. Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Basically,
I get it now,
basically
I
what I'm
think.
saying is
Mm,
the progression of personal timeline of rover is entering from 2.8
yeah.
into the void space,
Yeah.
which, like we established, is connected to Honami.
Mm,
That's why we ended up in this, because our frequency was being stolen
yeah.
from the
By the massive
portal in
eye.
Honami by Sigillum.
uh, Sigillum. No,
Yes,
it
because
was well in
Sigillum was the one that was siphoning the frequency.
no, in the first cutscene it was directly LF1. It was not Sigillum. LF1.
Yes, yes. But this frequency loss, which
Yeah.
initially was in 2.0, was being siphoned by Sigillum, left us to enter the portal to Lahai-Roi in the first place.
I'm really sure about that because Sigillum was only taking the frequency because of two things. First, it's the derivative of LF1. Second, it was already a part of Rover, so it was trying to make his frequency back. But in 3.0, in the first scene, we saw directly Aleph-1 who was taking our frequency, and it was not
Yes.
Sigillum.
And why this is important is
Yeah.
because
Mm.
those events when we enter the portal in 3.0 are derivative of the events of 3.1 story.
Yeah, I got it a bit later.
Now you
Because
see how Rover overlaps itself?
yeah, because if Amy keeps on going back to the same part, that means Rover also keeps on entering 3.0 portal.
Yes. And that's the thing. Here we can Rover's consciousness
Yeah.
overlaps this point.
Because is it because of Amy? Because of Amy being present there, it overlaps.
Uh, Not exactly. Because like I said, if we consider that Sigillum was stealing, siphoning our frequency from when we were back in Honami, we experience the frequency loss.
Hmm.
If that was sigillum, then this frequency loss, because sigillum is also connected to the void space, right?
Yeah, of course, it's a derivative of Aleph1.
Yes. And sigillum wanted to siphon this frequency because
It was
he
trying to
wanted to
complete
become
itself.
rover.
Yeah.
Yes. So this led us to enter the portal in the first place, which led us to being rescued by Amy,
Yeah.
which doesn't make actual sense when we first enter the portal. But then we
Yeah.
progress through 3.0. We progress to 3.1 story. This is I have to make it more clear. This is as rover on our how the fuck do
S.
I of rover
Okay.
our rover.
Yeah.
This rover in 3.0 is already aware of the time loop.
Yeah.
He goes to the void space in the lake, enters it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wants to rescue Amy,
Yeah.
but he ends up getting jumbled in the time inside the void space and ends up rescuing the small Amy, right?
Yeah, he does.
And then Rover disappears.
Yeah, which we're not sure when he reappeared again because we can see him fading out.
And he reappears in this point, in 3.0 point.
Okay, wait. So let me ask you two things. So you mean after Rover disappeared in the lake, he respawned back in
Yes.
3.0?
Yes.
Huh.
And from this point on, our rover in the same body travels, progresses his personal timeline into spawning in Lahai-Roi.
Okay.
Because he was rescued by Amy from the Trenodian.
Okay, so you mean as that Rover has kind of already broken his own loop.
Why this is important, and I'm mentioning this,
Hmm.
it might sound confusing, but why am I mentioning this is now because if we go back to this is this is why people get confused with time travel. And why most people will be confused when we will go back into the void space to rescue Amy. Sure, we can end up in the point of 7 in her personal timeline, just wandering through void space, but we have no way of navigating the void space.
Okay, so
And
I would tell you one more thing. You so I'm going to turn this into like 4 or 5 parts. So you have like 5 minutes. You have like
sorry.
5 minutes left till part one ends.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
I will
find the right
just
spot to end it off.
I will just end the part 1 in bringing back the Solaris 3 loop.
Okay. You can just copy paste it here, no?
So 3 loop. I want people to see this side by side.
Yeah, no, I meant that you can
So
just copy paste the Sol 3 loop. Whatever.
yeah, but it's all jumbled up there.
Okay.
This is, and
Sure.
it's not that important
Yeah, that's
because
also
what
true.
is important is the point one, point one, point one, which is the fight with the Trenodian.
So Balder
Exo
versus
versus
Exo versus Aleph1.
Aleph. Exactly. And from this, we go, we go here. This is Ami's personal
Yeah,
loop,
that is
right?
Amiet's loop.
That is Ami's loop.
And six will have a
Let's just
connection
make
with
it.
6 will have a connection with 4. or between 3 and 4.
a timeline.
Yes.
And now, important thing is rover timeline.
Okay, so the
Why
aware
this is
rover's timeline goes to there. You what that's what you mean.
yes.
Okay.
Because when we go back to point one to rescue, there are two possibilities basically. We can either go rescue Amy in this point,
Yeah.
or we can end up in, let's just make it A point A point B.
Okay, so we are just not
And
sure which one.
yes, because the thing is, we can either end up in the story going into the void space and find Amy in this point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or we can do the overlap like we did back here
Yeah.
and end up in here. And this rover overlaps his consciousness being in as the Exostrider pilot,
Yeah.
ends up sealing Aleph 1, and then progresses through Soul Tree history.
Okay.
Okay, because part 2 will require the other graph that I did and why I think the point B is more likely we will end up in.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for your time, and we will see you next
Simon,
soon. Yep.